Hello. Welcome to day number 14. I keep on saying day number. It's not consecutive days. Video number 14 as we test out the MLF beta. So this is the third day that I've now been trading using updated risk-reward strategies that are not perfect. I'm not going to say that they're perfect. They are a lot better than what I was doing, which was a one-to-one risk reward, and that was purely to test out the accuracy of the system over an extended period of time. So I'm still going to be documenting the results over the preceding month at one-to-one, but I'm also going to be figuring out what is the optimal risk reward that we can be using. So you can see I've got an active trade here at the moment. It's positive at the moment. It has just pulled back a little bit as I've started this video. We were, about 50% more, 100% more in the profit than we are right now. But that's not an issue for me. I had an inclination that it probably was going to pull back and we were going to start to see some sort of wedge happen here. I do think it's probably going to continue on its upwards. It may possibly sort of pull back to this level here, our entry price, and then bounce off that before continuing upwards. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to get tighter and tighter until it sort of bounces out into one position. But I'm reasonably happy with this trade. It's not the best of trades. We did get stopped out earlier in the day on the Euro JP, and I'll talk about that in a second. But with the potential for return here at risk reward at 4-to-1, and in fact I've tightened up the stop loss a little bit because we are positive, and that's something that I've been doing a little bit as well, is just tightening the stop losses a little bit, so minimizing that risk even more, especially when it does start to go a little bit in our favor. Now, I'm not being excessive, and I'm looking at the charts when I'm doing that. Obviously, I don't want to be having my stop loss at this level here. I do think it's the likelihood of it popping back down to there and then stopping us out before continuing upwards is far too high. But our stop loss previously was sort of at this range anyway, so it doesn't really bother me, and I might actually just extend that out a little bit. No, I'm going to leave it where it is. I like it in that level, a little bit below, maybe about there. But yeah, when you look at sort of the 1 hour charts, I like the stop loss at that level, and in fact I'm going to put it back where it was because I think that was fine. So we're just going to let this trade run. As I said, we had a couple of losers, one on the Euro JP and one on the AUDUSD, as well as one on the GBPUSD. Sorry, were these all today? 16, yes. So we didn't take that trade. These were pending orders that I decided to either abandon or get in, and then obviously the losing trades are losing trades. But we actually look at the amount lost, and this is a full 1%, slightly more actually. There's an issue here I need to fix, I think, with the way my lot sizes are getting established. Actually, no, I know what that was. I just entered at the price rather than at the ask, the bid price rather, because it was a buy, rather than getting in at the exact entry price that I had here by putting in a pending order. So we were a little bit off, and the stop loss was a little bit more than the 11 pips or so that we're actually supposed to be risking. But that's fine. So adding them together here, we work out to have about 2%. A 2% loss so far today, all things considered, with the 3 trades that we've had and the 1 active trade that we have currently. So I'm hoping that we can at least recoup some of that what I might look to do is to scale out a portion of this if we go positive, say 50% here, but at the same time that's defeating the purpose a little bit of having these trades as they are, and the stats that I've looked at indicate that if we are going to go about 20 pips positive, the likelihood of going 40 pips positive is pretty high for us. So we may just set the stop loss to 0 and let it ride out, or set it to break even rather. But exciting nonetheless that even though we've had 3 losers, we can easily recoup that plus some just with this one trade. So we can recoup those 2%, that 2% loss, and still make a 2% profit for the day with this one trade that we're in. And even if it loses, we're only going to be losing about probably 0.6%. So it would be down 2.6% roughly for the day. And we were up 2.7 yesterday. So it'd work out to be about break even for the past 2 days. And then the previous day we were positive something like 4%. So overall, I'm not too concerned. We're going to have days where we're red, days where we're losers, have more losers than winners, and we're slightly negative, but that's not too much of a concern for me at the moment. So let's quickly have a look at these trades and figure out why I only had sort of 0.5% losses on both of them. So we'll go to the AUDUSD first, and my entry point was somewhere around about here, I think. So around about here, it was a buy, and let me just have a quick look. We did just have an order come in or a signal come in for AUDUSD. Since we're currently on the charts, let me have a look at the charts. I mean, I like the level, but it has definitely been trending down. So I'm a little bit hesitant to be getting in here until we've had some indication that we're going to have some upwards momentum. Looking at the 5-minute charts, there's nothing that indicates that we're looking to actually shift from this downwards momentum into an upwards trend. So I'm going to avoid taking that trade just because it's a high risk trade, and there's no point getting in that and adding another loser, especially since we do look like we have a positive trade here. So let's just let that one ride out, and we won't take that trade. So going back to where we entered, I believe it was around here, but let me get the exact entry point. It was 699.00, and the time of entry was about 11:31. Yeah. So we got the signal here. I liked that support level. It had been, bouncing off the support level quite a decent amount, and our stop loss was going to be well below this level at something like here. I think it was about here, 14.4. So yeah, down sort of at this level. I think it was a bit higher actually, because we got in. Wait, was it this candle? 16.99. Yeah, so the signal was given. No, so that was our entry. But let me have a look at the actual signal. AUDUSD. I think that was the actual signal, and we got in a little bit lower than the actual signal. So we got a slightly better entry price. But it was this candle we got in, and it was green at the time. So yeah, with the spread considered, I think we actually entered when it was about here. But because of the spread, our entry price was slightly above. And almost immediately, it turned from being a green candle to a red candle, well, within about a minute, and it just continued its downward trend. So immediately I was thinking, shit, I shouldn't even be in this trade. I've thought about and should have implemented a system where I only take a trade if there's one, green candle, because that in itself is something that just indicates that at least there's some resistance at that level, and there's a likelihood that it is going to reverse or continue in an upwards manner, right? So if you're on a red candle and you get a signal to buy, then you should be looking for at least one green candle to solidify the fact that there is some strength at that level, and that the momentum is just not going to push right through that resistance level, or that support level rather, and continue its downward trend. So I shouldn't have even been in that trade, but immediately as soon as it turned green and that candle closed, as soon as it turned from green to red and that candle closed, I was looking to exit, and I think I ended up exiting about here. So I saved something like, something like 7 pips or around about, which is great, right? Even if that had reversed and gone up, in my mind that was a good exit, because everything was indicating that it was just going to keep on pushing down, and it turns out that it did that. So that was a good exit there to save some pips. Same goes for this one, GBPUSD. We were looking at 616. So entry was around about here, and we were looking to buy. We got positive a little bit, and because we were a little bit positive, I started to sort of tighten the stop loss up a little bit. We got down here, we went green again. I tightened the stop loss a little bit more here because we now had that sort of low level, so I put it pretty much right under here, and we dropped down and we ended up getting stopped out. What was our entry price actually, just so I'm being a bit more specific? 25546. 25546. So we got on this level here, but it was sort of back here that we entered, or maybe even here, I forget. It was about 7, so it must have been here. And so we were positive there a little bit, a couple of pips, then we went negative. In fact, this would have been where we got stopped out. So in this sort of run up, I sort of tightened the stop loss up a little bit, and then I think when it started going negative here on this candle, when this candle closed below this level, I'm pretty sure that's when I got out. Yeah, it was like a candle here that closed and I got out. Or here, rather, sorry. One of them. Anyway, there was an indication that it was going to continue its downward path, so I decided to cut my losses and exit there. So unfortunately, a couple of bad signals earlier in the day, but really I should have not. I mean, this trade was fine to be in. There was nothing indicating, nothing seriously bad. We had a couple of green candles. There was a possibility that we were going to go in the right direction, but it just didn't work in our favor. So this is a much better trade in my books. We've clearly had some strong upwards pressure. It looks like we've pulled back a little bit. It's found some resistance on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour. There's clear support here. It's tested it a little bit. It's violently pulled back. It had a bit of a hammer candle here, and then it's violently pulled back. Then it's sort of had a little bit of resistance. It's found that there's like a a bottom here, and now it's decided that it hopefully wants to head up. So I'd be looking on the 1 hour chart. We've still got 15 minutes to go. I want a strong push in these 15 minutes for this candle to close above this level here. If that happens, which it looks like it might be making that push right now, if that happens, then I'm going to be very confident that it's going to reach this level, or I'm going to be a lot more confident at least that it's going to really reach this level. If we close underneath this level, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant, and either way, I'm probably going to tighten my stop loss up a little bit. If we close just under this level, I'm going to tighten my stop loss. If we close sort of down here, I'll probably leave it where it is, because that indicates to me that it hasn't figured out where it's going to go yet, and it's probably going to come down a little bit, and it might sort of test levels near this line here, this blue line. But things looking good at the moment. We'll jump down to the 5 minute. See, this is the level I want it to break above. I want it to close above that level, or those two levels. And it looks like there is some force behind this movement. Let's just hope it can keep on pushing. So that's all we're going to do for today's video. Keep it nice and short, sweet and simple. I will put a recap of today's trades down in the comments below, and I'm probably not going to do a video tomorrow, but I'll do a recap next week. So we'll do a video on sort of Monday or Tuesday, looking at the trades from Monday or whatever day we do the video on, and a recap of the previous days as well, just so there's a little bit more to talk about in the videos. I don't want to do so many videos, talking about the system and everything, and just repeat myself over and over again. There's only so much we can talk about here. Of note, we are deciding, or most likely we're deciding to remove the 1 day predictions for the time being and just focus on the 1 hour, and probably will add the 4 hours. So it'll mainly be intraday trading. That's just because it allows us to iterate a lot faster, it allows us to test things a lot faster and optimize faster as well. There's too many fasters in that sentence, I know, but I didn't want to switch to quicker or more swiftly, maybe. Let's add some extra words in. But that will allow us to do all those things at a more rapid pace, as well as, instead of switching between intraday and swing trading, we can now just focus on the one aspect, the intraday aspect, which will allow us to create a better product for intraday traders or day traders. So that's a couple of the reasons, as well as the 1 day predictions aren't performing very well when we add in the stop losses, right? They are predicting the right moves in terms of 24 hours after this prediction, the price is probably going to be at around that level, but it's not taking into account what happens in between the prediction and the end result. So generally speaking, the price will go in the opposite direction, hit your stop loss, and then it will wind up at the predicted area those 24 hours later, which is not optimal. It's not what we're looking for. So we're just going to remove that for the time being. I think we're going to discuss that tomorrow and come up with a decision. But I think that's going to be the best way forward, because it, as I said, it allows us to really just focus on one aspect and do that very well before we then expand. A classic case of just trying to bite off too much in the early stages, when we need to just hunker down and focus, get laser focused, so we can provide the best product possible. Okie dokie, I will see you in the next video, which will probably come Monday or Tuesday next week, I should say. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. It would mean a lot. I know there's not very many people watching these videos. I'm not really pushing them. This is more to indicate that we are developing the system, we are working on the system and testing it thoroughly, And so once we do go from beta testing to live, there is a paper trail, so to speak, of videos and proof that we have matured and worked on the system.